All right, good evening, everybody. This is a last call sports with Joe Wright on Sunday night, the 25th of January, 10 o'clock. The game just ended. Seattle beating the Rams and heading to Santa Clara to face the New England Patriots, a rematch of a Super Bowl from about a decade ago. The one that ended with the famous um, Russell Wilson pass instead of handing off the ball to Marshawn Lynch that all the football experts yelled and screamed should never have happened. They should have gone with Marshawn Lynch, like it was a foregone conclusion that they would have won. Who knows? I don't know. Anyways, really weird. When looking back at the games today, the first game was so ugly, but New England finished it out 10-7, kind of a throwback game to probably championship games you'd expect to see in the 1960s and 1970s. Not a lot of offense, especially in the second half. Drake May did more damage with his legs than he did with his arms. But New England finished one of the most unexpected turnarounds in 1 year in Mike Vrabel's first year as their head coach. Unexpectedly, they're on their way. A lot of things went well. I know a lot of people are bitching about their schedule. You can only play the schedule that's given you. And when you're a 4-13 team 1 year, the next year you would not expect to have a schedule that's pockmarked with a lot of the top teams in the NFLs that you'll have to overcome. Again, another thing that went their way is the fact that they didn't have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in the playoffs. They didn't have Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. So a lot of good things happened to set up this run for them, but they won. Yes, it was ugly. Yes, if you could do it all over again, you'd sit there and go, no, can we play this tomorrow? See if we can get a little bit more excitement out of it. But they won the game. And now we'll see what they can put together to against this Seahawks team, which probably will be the favorite going into the champion or the Super Bowl. Their defense, they have a very good defense. Sam Darnold has become the quarterback that none of us could have expected him to become, especially if you were in the New York area like I was when he was with the Jets. He never showed this kind of maturity. And, he's famous for, I'm seeing ghosts out there. He'll always live with that in the back of his, on his resume at some point. But you can't look at the last two seasons in Seattle and the 28 regular season wins and not think, hey, this guy has a chance to do something very different. Right? I'm old enough to have remembered when Jim Plunkett finally turned it around when he made it out to Oakland. He had failed with the Patriots, he had failed with the 49ers, and suddenly ends up possibly on the scrap heap out in Oakland, but it turns out he becomes their starting quarterback and ends up winning 2 Super Bowls. And Sam Darnold is not really old. He's not I don't think he's 30 years old yet. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do. Vrabel, and I don't know as much about the coach of Seattle as I do about Vrabel. You think of the time he was down in Tennessee, and with a guy like Tannehill as his quarterback, he had Derrick Henry. That's for damn sure. But he got them, and he almost got them to a Super Bowl. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. We're going to hear 2 weeks of this, going back and forth as who will have the upper hand and who will win the game. There'll be plenty of shows on ESPN. There'll be hours of shows on ESPN. So I'm going to try and do as many as I can do between now and then to give you my opinions as we see as we approach the game. Second thing this week, another big thing as a Giant fan, we had Harbaugh come in, and of course he took the city by storm. Not the storm like the storm we're having right now, but he took the city by storm. He was something they needed. The Giants, as a Giant fan, I was glad they went out and got an experienced coach. I've seen coordinators come in here before. The but really, they've never had it. I mean, Parcells was a coordinator with the team and was promoted from within after Ray Perkins left. Ray Perkins had come from being a coordinator and did a pretty good job his first year with the Giants, and then eventually left to go to Alabama, and Parcells took over. Um, then they tried to promote I can't believe his name now, Ray Handley, and he was a terrible coach, but he really wasn't a coordinator. And then they brought in Dan Reeves. He made them competitive for a couple of years. And then they brought in Jim Fossil, and he got them to one Super Bowl. But then they had to go back to Coughlin, another experienced hand, a guy who'd been head coach somewhere else and had proven himself to really right the ship and win, championships. And now, after seeing all these coordinators come in, all these coaches come in, from winning programs. I mean, they weren't coming from failing programs; they were coming from winning programs. But you can never tell if the coordinator is going to have his hand on or his finger on the pulse of the team, and whether he's ready to be, as they say, the CEO. Harbaugh has the experience. Harbaugh has been in the league. He's won Super Bowls or won a Super Bowl. He's been in the playoffs numerous times. What does he have, 180 wins or something like that? I mean, we're getting an experienced hand, but I don't want to get overly excited. I try not to do that. I remember when Phil Jackson came to town for the Knicks, and everybody was, oh, they're going to win championships. Got Phil Jackson, and I told everybody to pump the brakes back then. And I go pump the brakes a little bit right now. Do I believe the Giants are going to be a better team next year? Yes. Do I think they're going to do a Patriot-like reversal, 180 degrees, and be going to the Super Bowl? No. The Philadelphia Eagles are still in this division. The Cowboys are still in this division. Washington will probably have their quarterback back next year. And it should be a competitive division. But this is the thing. Harbaugh is used to that. Harbaugh is used to competing against teams like the Steelers and Cincinnati when he was in with the Ravens. It wasn't like he just cakewalked through to the division championship every year, a la the Patriots when they were winning with Brady and Belichick, where there was no competition. Still, it worked out for them. There's no simple chemistry to this, but we're going to have to see what he can do. And like I say to all my friends, pump the brakes a little bit. Just pump the brakes a little bit. And another thing about the local teams, we got Aaron Glenn is just like firing everybody right now, blowing up the Jets, trying to put that back together. Going to be interesting to see what he does. But the bottom line for him, I hear they're talking about bringing Frank Reich in to be the offensive coordinator, which I think is a really good idea if you have a quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, you could bring Vince Lombardi back from the dead. It's not really going to change things. So with the Jets, I think I guess you have to go out and try and get the guy now while he's unemployed and make him very employable. But the Jets' biggest thing this year is to get the quarterback situation right. You see what, even though we haven't seen the finished product yet, you see what the Giants are getting, the man who looks to be their next great quarterback, Jackson Dart, how much that brings to the team, how much that settles everything, how much that makes fans into believers. So we're going to have to see if the Jets can do the same thing at quarterback and bring in somebody that can bring the excitement back to the green and white and Jets, Jets. So that's it for me for tonight. Last call. And I will be back tomorrow night, and we'll see what the shakeout is tomorrow morning on all the shows from these championship games. I know there'll be a bunch of bitching about the Patriot Denver game, which would have been a lot better with Bo Nix there, and maybe Denver would have won. Who knows? But this last game, Seattle and the Rams, really good game. I'd like to go a little bit into each of those games tomorrow after I've had like 24 hours to marinate on it. And I will be back tomorrow to talk to you again. Have a great night. Hope you enjoyed yourself. If you are in one of these states that's getting pounded like with snow, like I am right now, hey, enjoy what you can. See you tomorrow.